Oh hey, it might help if I started the game. My brain off. Back to leveling my spell. Oh god, the echo. God. Finish and get up to empowered monoliths. Let's get started on the whatchamacallit. Age of Winter. I don't know how well we're gonna be able to do, but this build, this tankian does at least a decent amount of damage. The world get hit by stuff. Cooldown on somewhat lower, but that's so easily can deal with rare enemies. They're huge. Keep autoing to our at least 3 times, that way we get the crit with the firebrand. Flame brand, I can remember. Not dead, I expected. I mean, we're tanky enough where we can even stuff like that, so pretty good. Go over there. Resulted attunements, that great. Very easily. Things we need. Some things will just, depending on the types of enemies we get, some things will just absolutely. I literally just looked at my stash thinking the crystal sword with no forge, but in some capacity it could be significantly better. I will pick up the sword, but that's all I'm gonna. Pick this out and put it. And you're putting points into this, that's 15% more damage per stack, which forward and onward. Might help if I open Stream Manager so I can actually doing as much murder as possible. Murder is fun. Especially killing these little rock throwing dudes. Oh, I don't know why I thought there was a path over there. Hard to see the map on the snow maps. It's blue and white, and guess what colors they use to make the area around it? Yeah, blue and white. I mean, I could always turn down the opacity. That would probably help. Or turn up the opacity? Down the opacity? I don't know. On the tab mini map thing. Might make it a bit too easy to see. Still does a surprisingly large amount. Surprisingly little built. Glyph of Chaos. I'm starting to realize how much more useful they are, but they're more like budget crafting, if that makes sense. Other way. Watch him have looped back around to there. We'll kill these. I don't know, I'm just always a fan of killing rare enemies. Try to see if they'll drop an Exalted or... because rare enemies all have a chance to drop a rare, or they all will drop a rare, and that means that it's a chance that it's better than rare. Oh, you're good. My stream manager chat, I guess, is off. I didn't see you message. I think I checked my Streamlabs. But yeah, no, I mean, Surge is good. This build gets extremely tanky. It's just, relatively similar to what... This build is far tankier than Flame Wraith. I wonder if I could technically... I don't see why I couldn't put Flame Wraith to, into lightning mode. Yeah, I don't see what... I mean, I could technically do a Flame Wraith, but then obviously I would have to use specific ring and stuff like that. These give more. Definitely. Total XP. I'm just trying to push to empowered monos. I mean, if it says anything to how good this build actually is, I mean, I'm sitting at a sheet DPS right now of 3.7k, while I'm level 74, pushing level 90 monos, like pretty much no problem. Every once in a while I'll hit an enemy type or something that will kill me. But it's pretty much... doesn't really require much. I mean, I have a bunch of % lightning damage on my gear, but that also doesn't really matter a ton. Most of the skill points that are put in this build are tanky. I think this honestly would be a very good leveling build. Just because it does get tanky and does like a good amount of damage with minimal amounts of gear. Flamebrand is, like I said, technically better. It's just you need a little bit more gear to make it work. You'd use most of the same gear of what I have here. and it just clears better because it has a larger AoE. But yeah, I mean, I'm still one-shotting. Pretty significant. Really just want to be level 80 and find a good sword that I can use and buy empowered monos, and then that's really all I need for this build. Honestly, so this build runs Chariot and has, I guess every 3 seconds this is 25% damage, and that's probably an additive percentage because of it coming off of a unique. So I imagine that's actually a lot more damage for us than it reads like it is. Because I'm just not sure how important those boots are comparatively. Like, I don't know if there would be a better custom spot for them. I should update the build guide. So please pick that to show the build guide I'm following. Which is by Epoch Build. Just become a big content creator. Duh. I mean, yeah. I've always had that mentality, though, that, like, it sucks that people get stuff early and things like that. But another thing is that they did earn it, you know? Like, that's kind of how I justify it to myself. And if I ever do become a big content creator someday and I get that kind of privilege, I'm not going to feel sorry for the people that don't. I'm really not, because how long have I sat here and been the person that doesn't, right? So, I mean, in some sense, you know, I don't really feel bad that they get it. I figure, hopefully, anyways, someday I'll, you know, get it myself. Color does this highlight weapon? Yellow. I don't like the way that this naturally colors stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, overall, I would say that it's a completely unnecessary part of the game. Or part of the community, whatever you want to say. Yeah, like it's not necessary that people get. Yeah. I mean, not to say it's exactly the same argument, but I know that there's people that would argue that, like, theoretically, me playing this game before it's officially released, like, before they knew about it, is an unfair advantage too, right? I mean, not saying it is, and it's definitely not, but some people argue it that way. I'm gonna go this way because it has this, node reveal thing. You know, I think one thing I don't find fair about it at all is more just the fact that, for example, if I want to make a name in content, I need to show people things before other people know. And I'm not saying that's always the case or whatever, but like, for example, if, you know, me playing Last Epic, if I found a build that's really, really good before anybody else, and I'm gonna get clout for that, right? Whereas, as a content creator, because you were able to play the game at least a little bit before everyone, that means that you're just a little bit ahead of the curve, enough to make it so that you find that stuff first. And so it's just more likely that it's missed opportunities for other people, in a way. This Flame Ward completely tanks frame rate if you have a ton of enemies hitting you. Because it has to do the, like, effect of, like, reflecting damage at them. Like, if I activate it here. Not that bad, I guess. I wish that this would highlight... Like, the way it does the colorings is, like, these are things that have 3 affixes. These are things that have, like, tier 4 affixes. Like, you see, like, these all have tier 3 plus. These all have tier 3 or less. Or tier 2 or less. Except for this one. That's tier 4. I don't know why that one's not color different. Anyways, I wish it would just, like, the swords are a certain color so I could try to pick up more swords. Yeah. I don't know if the game has microtransactions, but if the game does have microtransactions, then that doesn't technically matter at all because, you know, big streamers for the game are going to likely spend money and get stuff before people anyways. Having the reroll rewards is... Oh no. Not looking for but a moment. And I'm sorry, I completely forgot. You said it's like Tuesday that you get to play, right? And that you'll start streaming it? Slowly try to build up ward and not walk off a cliff. Walking off a cliff is not good for your health. Waiting for the big chunky guys. At some point I'm going to have to stop playing this build. It's not very interesting, honest. Not even just on my end, I imagine it's not very entertaining to watch. I mean, it's not very flashy. Wait, it's just me doing this and then like a very simple right click dash with very little animation to it. There's nothing beyond this. Dead ends. I can do 1, 2, 3, and then or 1. So this is more efficient. You don't really need a shield, unfortunately. Even though I want to run a shield, I already have the unique shield I want. Here are a very good one for me. Gotten a few of those. I'm very slowly trying to eat my pizza. Oh, I'm sorry. So much. Build is very tanky though. I know I've said it before. I got chicken Alfredo pizza. Are you sure you want it? It's also leftover pizza from yesterday, so I don't think you want it. True. It is pizza. You are correct on that.
Yes.
I wonder what level is this? 64. I don't think I can get that from the... Oh, probably way too much. No, why would I do that on launch? 500 gold doesn't matter when I can pick up like over 1,000 from just that. It's not worth my effort to pick this up and go sell it to her. Nope, I won't throw it away on launch. I guarantee it. No. I don't know. I'll have to find a way to warn myself. Nobody likes floating floaters. Oh my. I almost. It doesn't even have much to talk about while I play it because it's just that simple. Like trying to talk about auto bomber, it's like I press abilities, stand still, and I win. Hmm. You know, because I don't really need much else in here. I don't know why I'm not doing. I didn't do that. Let's go up to the top. We'll keep the idols. Care about relic. Probably just have it recommend. I just listen. If I need other stuff, I'll turn on other stuff subsequently. I do like how I can just turn these off and not have to delete them. So that way if I do want to look for this stuff, I can. I need an amulet. Probably not. I think I have a better one in my stash that's also exalted. That should leave me fine. Also, welcome anyone else who has joined. Go up here to this reveal note. Oh my, that was all these ranged enemies do so much damage. Partially because I'm ignoring them, because it is annoying to try to chase down. And I need to like attack 3 times and then dash. Only do it every 3 seconds. If there wasn't a cooldown, that'd be great. Honestly, I don't really see there as being like a balancing issue if there's like an ability like Surge that has a decent mana cost to it. I mean, it's a mana cost of 25, but that has no cooldown. I wouldn't mind there being a movement ability for it. What am I looking for? Looking for an ogre. Oh, he's up there. Couldn't see. Okay. I got, yeah, evaporated just off the screen. I'm like generally pretty fine against stuff. I already rerolled this character like 3 times. Like, I've gone from, well, I was going Flame Reeve before, what would damage over time. And then I changed to going to going crit with Flame Reeve. And then I changed to this, which also goes crit. My gosh, those assassins do so much damage, like no matter what character I play on. Even on my Bladedancer they do tons and tons of damage. Part of me taking so much damage is I just really don't feel like moving out of the way of stuff. Sometimes, majority of times actually, with this build, I can get out of the... I can get away with not moving out of the way. We will see what's around. This heads us more towards a dead end, this heads us less towards a dead end. Well, I mean, this heads us farther away than this one. One what? What does this number mean? I am still not following you. The poor bear teleported right on top of me to get murdered. These both on us at the same. $11, $12, $5, $4, $12, $9. We end up going that way, but I am going to be right back. Give me just a couple minutes. Okay, I am back. Sorry for the very long BRB. I got home at like 6:30 and I didn't quite realize what time it was. So I just like ran down and started the stream, so I didn't have like anything to drink, nothing to eat. I mean, I had the leftover pizza. But that wasn't much. Hope I'm alright. Why would I not be alright? It's so weird, correct me if I'm wrong, you know more than I do. Doesn't PoE, doesn't most damage over time pierce energy shield? Or am I wrong? Either most or all, I'm pretty sure, right? I got stunned. That's unfortunate. The only reason I die with this build is because I lack physical resist. And I don't need to fill the gap of physical resist with this build because there's an amulet that I have that requires level 77. That will give me like an extra 40% phys resist. Oh wait. Oh! As I died of fire damage. Maybe I am just going crazy. I'm gonna lose out for equipping. Nothing. Because this will actually cap me on lightning resist instead of me losing. I'll put this in my inventory so I don't forget. Why is this build so dangerous? Not build. Area. All I know is there is a great many murder attempts had on me. I have done nothing wrong, officer. The drugs in the car are not mine. Come on, man. Bad death. I had no problems until this moment. I think honestly, I might swap characters and go farm for another part of this build that I will need. Let me see what the name. Oh, you're good, man. But yeah, why would I not be alright? One of these, the boss actually drops belted. Belted weapons, actually. I could go farm for sword. Or build. And yeah, it keeps all the coloring. I forget which one it is. Or you can get like guaranteed belted, so we're gonna go look around. Do you give me guaranteed? Ah, yes. Belted weapons from Tier 4 arena. Of course. Why wouldn't it be? Now I need to remember how to play this character. Going to try to not be very greedy with rewards here. Crazy, because all this stuff is like pretty close to BIS. I mean, if that says anything to like how truly difficult this stuff is. That doesn't have enough foraging. Wonder if maybe I could just benefit from having a lot more. Oh boy. What incredible option. They do 100% more damage or 120%. I'll probably take less damage. And I would rather have the runes. Going to get to a point where they're at like where they're like 400% more damage or something. See that? Ah! I know why I'm taking so much damage! I just remembered! That really goes to show how tanky this build actually is. Oh my gosh. I forgot to grab it back off my other character and just hopped into stuff. Oh, I can't believe that. Wolf, why didn't you warn me? We're limit testing my build because I am missing my shield. Because I moved it to a different character temporarily. Why didn't you warn me? Look at... Oh my gosh. I was like, why am I taking like an unusual amount of damage that I'm not familiar with taking? Yeah, you can, especially when it's as rare as that shield is. Nah, you could have warned me. I'm kidding, you had no idea, but... This build is doing surprisingly well, even without that. I mean, my health dips a little bit here and there. But I mean, the fact that I'm doing tier 4 arena with 280% increased enemy damage is pretty significant. Nah, I just move it because I don't want to farm a second one. One of the rarest items in the game. I'm not going to farm a second one. Not when I already have so many other things I need to farm.
Easy. Too easy.
No. That's not how I'm gonna play the game. That simple. I will take the exalted items. Alright, I'm just ready to get one shot by the arena boss. It's just a little bit more scary this way, it's fine. What happens when you remove a very core defensive part of your build? Well, this is it. What? My health didn't... It shot straight back up! I was still alive! The game lied to me! Alright, let's go grab that shield. I made it farther than I would have expected. Did I grab it for this character? I know I didn't grab it for my hardcore. None of my characters are wearing it. That means it's in my stash. I put it in my stash. Like 110%. Meaning I could have grabbed it in the middle of that. Never mind. It's sitting in a character's inventory. Probably my primalist that I wanted to be more tanky while I was leveling it. No, surprisingly it did not. I mean, there's no way it's on my marksman. Ah, there it is. Okay. Crisis averted. Yes, my beautiful is back. My build is again.
Buying? Selling?
I should just put these in like their own little spot rather than have them scattered all about the inventory of the vendor. The runes of shattering. This should feel much better.
Easy. Too easy.
Yeah, I'm not losing health at all to these. I wonder how hard it is to do hardcore masochist mode. When I feel like you just would need to continue to stay in certain areas and farm until you got like pretty well perfect drops for the time frame in the game you're in. I feel like it'd have to be like pretty well planned out. I wonder if blocking doesn't count as getting hit, maybe? I was gaining way more stacks of Dusk Shroud or when I forgot to equip my shield. Maybe not. I don't know if I've done a tier 4 arena yet. Might not have. Ice Beetle, go! I choose you! Oh my gosh, oh! I think it's these guys. Yeah, I died from fire because those guys were outside my block radius. That's one thing that sucks about this build, is or doing this variant. I get extra stats from this, but because of using this, I need to actually be close to stuff. I think at one point the chest was up there, if my memory serves me correctly. I will just grab a couple, because I don't want to have to keep running back up there. Easy, very quick merge. All the enemies like to just throw stuff at you. There's very few that actually shoot you with stuff. There's more enemies that shoot than, or throw stuff at you than shoot at you. Surprisingly, I think a bit more dodge rating on here. I would like to be at a standing 100% chance for a glancing blow, and unfortunately I only get that high when I'm buffed. My other ranger build already has, that's like 40 levels lower than this, has 100% standing chance for glancing. I almost died because I maybe I will farm for a second shield. Who knows? That could be something to put on my agenda for tomorrow. Get away from playing the boring Spellblade build. At least this one I have to press more buttons and actively think about where I'm sitting. The other one is so tanky for its level that I can pretty much ignore things. Gotta be careful not to walk back into that when he comes down and hits. Heal me. So much damage. Then again, it is plus 340% damage. More barrels. Plus 1%. I'll take this just because it has less damage and then again at this point it doesn't really matter. 20% doesn't make a difference. That's what I didn't want to happen. And I was getting stunned. Arena is hard. It's level 100 enemies, and unlike Monolith, I mean, I'd go as far to even say it's harder than Monolith. I mean, Monolith you get higher modifiers and stuff like that. Like you get, you know, the crit modifiers, you get the armor shred, you get all that. But unlike Arena, it doesn't scale up to like enemies doing 5 times damage or anything like that. I mean, it can, just nowhere near as easily. What level do you need to be? 50? I might go farm one of those for my other... I can't remember... Where does this drop from? Build guide with it open yet? I do. Also, change the command and let the command is set up right before it builds. There you go. Oh, where does the blacks? Sure. Yeah, I wanted to farm this for dodge rating anyway. So that works perfectly fine. Also, welcome anyone who has joined recently. Always enjoy it. Including girlfriend that is in the chat. Don't think I don't see you. I know you are there. Hiding from me. Or you're not hiding, but close enough. And forward and onward. The quest for a second shield has begun. I'm like somewhat afraid of these enemies now. Because I'm just like expecting them to do a ton of damage. Sucks, a lot of the dungeon bosses, like this build's not good at farming. Because, talking to some people and talking around, most of them want you to have, most of them you need sustain that's not required, blah blah blah. Most of them you need sustain where you don't need to hit things. So it makes it somewhat harder. This build, all of its sustain is from stuff. Two-handed spear is not what I'm looking for. I really wish the gloves would at least have like, or not gloves, unique items would at least have better rarity based on stuff. Like, well, not better rarity. Better sell prices based on the like item drop percentages or something like that even. Like just something baseline to kind of make them worth selling. Or, because they are uniques, not legendary. Same idea. Keep swimming, just... Or in this case, just farming stuff till the end of time. Never to be seen again. I'll be doing this forever. Times, man, like this build is not indestructible. Feels like it when I'm somewhat sustaining. I'm not. It can actually take a good beating from stuff. I just like instinctively lock my phone instead of opening Twitch chat back up so I can see all you beautiful people. What does this spell even do? It only cleanses stun and... I don't think I mean, I guess I get stunned, but by the time I know, it's already too late. Checking the vendor to see if there's any baseline words that I want. Never looks like it though. Might end up running the Black Sun boss again, just because, again, I have more dodge rating. The initial blessing that you get from this area, the dodge rating here, is actually flat dodge rating. The one that you get from the empowered monoliths is percentage. So it's a bit better in some capacity. That's actually an okay placeholder. I will pick that up. If we don't find anything super useful for our build as far as swords go, we can at least use that one. But there's a base that is, or a base sword that's gonna be better than pretty much any other one. Instant attack speed. We can just over here. Touch the big shiny thing.
Easy. Too easy.
Care about the quiver, but the LP on it's nice, so I will throw that in the chest. This is the base we want, but these are pretty much the modifiers that we want. Because this gives us 100% increased melee elemental damage and attack speed. So it's a bit better than Katana. Not by a ton, but yeah. It actually almost has a maxed out glancing glow chance. Might keep that over top of one of these just because it's almost max roll. One gives us the lowest. Because that one's such a good roll of one that does have LP, or does not have LP, that it's worth. So for farming for this build, I'm actually using I still need things for this build, and I personally just like to target farm. It's not as efficient, but like all I really need for my other build is swords. So I loaded up this loot filter, turned off everything except for the filters that affect swords, and that way I can only see swords on the ground. Otherwise, it can be kind of hard because you're getting right? A bunch of different drops of a bunch of different colors for a bunch of different things, and it can be hard to actually sort out, like, if that drop that you see on the ground is even worth looking at, right? Because, like, for example, this build is pretty close to min-maxed. So, if I'm looking for stuff for this build, most stuff in my filter, even then, isn't worth looking at. Let alone when you have multiple builds at multiple stages. So some builds you would have to look at every single item because you have nothing for it, and other builds you have to look at only a couple items. So having multiple builds in the same filter can be very, very difficult because then you spend your time... Yeah, because then you spend your time looking at every single item, right? And ideally, if you want to be efficient, you should farm all at once, but also you're gonna waste time looking at all the items just to realize that they're trash and that you shouldn't have even looked, right? So it's up to you how you want to do it, but I prefer to target farm either individual items or for a single build at a time. If you have nothing for the build, I would farm just for one build, just load up your build filter on a character that you have pretty well maxed out, and go farm for that build in higher tier monos. But that's my personal take on it, and you don't necessarily have to do that. Both are fine. Just one's more of a headache than another, in my opinion. Like, right now, I'm kind of farming for the build. I just kind of want a sword for it, so I can farm that kind of anywhere. And then I'm currently farming for a duplicate of the shield that I have, either for this build or for a placeholder for that build. So whichever... I just want another one of these shields for that build as a placeholder. It's not even meant to be the shield that that build uses, but just kind of multitasking in that sense. Also good for... I mean, I could probably farm this stuff on that other build. Wouldn't be as good, because empowered monoliths are really where you want to be to farm things. If you're not doing empowered monos, it's really not worth farming for a specific unique or something. Unless, like, for whatever reason that unique is what's gonna push you to where you can do empowered monolith. Unique drop rates just get way too high. That's part of why I can't do it on the other build, but also the other build is very boring. Oh yeah, and welcome, by the way, Rajas. First time in chat. Nice to see new people. And thank you for the follow as well, Rajas. I mean, I think one thing about that is that you can... Your Void Knight, because it's already almost maxed out as far as what you can do with it or whatever, is almost always going to be able to farm faster, and it's going to be able to farm higher tiers where you're going to get better drops. So that means less time spent farming for the gear that you want for your other build, and more time spent actually playing that other build. Because that other build, until it's fully established, is pretty much always going to farm slower. Especially compared to Auto Bomber, which is a very good farming build. Yeah. If your Auto Bomber was more of like a boss damage build, for example, kind of what this one likes to do, like this build isn't ideal for farming, but it's my most well-formed build, so that's why I'm playing it. So in that case, it would be better to farm on your new build that you're doing, just because it might clear better at what it's doing. But it's really up to you to gauge whether or not that's the best to do, because it depends on where you're at exactly and what you can farm with the other build. Yeah, that's one thing that's very strong about Auto Bomber, though. It takes, from what I've heard, it takes almost nothing to gear because you just stack HP for damage, right? That HP or mana that build stacks, I can't remember. I know there's two different builds around right now that that like stack just actual like HP or actual mana. Is it just like off the base power of the skill, or is it like, is the skill too strong? Is that what it is, or is it just it's easy to get gear? My friend sent me a video on covering exactly why it's supposed to be strong, made by Lizard, but I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. Well, comparatively to most things, I mean, although it lacks boss damage, like, lacking boss damage isn't necessarily a downside if you can survive, right? I mean, it doesn't matter how much damage your build does at all if it's tanky. But if your build does no damage and is infinitely tanky, it'll eventually get the job done. But if your build does tons of damage and isn't tanky, there's a chance that you could just get one shot and die. Yeah, like I can't even really do tier 4 arena. Even with this build, for example. And I'm level 98 and pretty close to min-maxed anyways. I need to like legendary this stuff out and get more exalteds. Same idea. I say it's pretty much maxed out, but it's also not. It's just because this needs such specific modifiers on it that it's hard to replace. Like, ideally, this would be incredible, except for the fact that I have to get both of those modifiers off of this one and just leave the increased health. Ooh, double shield and... I'm really uncertain on which build I want to do come a reset for multiplayer. I'm imagining Auto Bomber will get nerfed or even potentially hot fixed before they actually release multiplayer. At least that's what I've heard. Not saying it's guaranteed gonna happen. I just know that's kind of what people are wishing for in a sense. But given that, I'm not really sure what's going to... But I'm not really sure what's going to end up being, like, viable for one, what's going to get buffed, what's going to get changed, nerfed, etc. You know, nobody really knows absolutely everything. And, so, subsequently, I don't know what to expect to do. Some builds are easier to gear than others. But I've never really been one to just play a build that plays itself. And I personally like the idea around certain builds being based on uniques. I like the diversity that a unique can add to building characters. Yeah. I mean, every build should have a trade-off, right? I mean, something it doesn't do good, and unfortunately not doing boss damage good isn't, again, is not much of a downside. Because it can just, it might take longer, but you can do it. Yeah, I've seen some clips of people doing bosses in a pretty well, like, flushed out, auto bomber. This build I'm doing here, like, so many things are going to need to change multiplayer, or really overall. You know, poison's getting nerfed. We have an idea of what the nerfs are, but I mean, it's hard to gauge how much that'll truly affect it. You know, because it might make it just really bad at that point. I don't really know. I'm doubtful, given that bleed exists. And it's gonna put it more in the same realm of bleed. But it might just make it bad. But so it becomes... Right, if Auto Bomber gets changed and Poison gets changed, then... I mean, there's not a ton more in the quote-unquote meta. I mean, I was talking to Epic Builds about it, though, too, right? And one thing about it is that there is a meta to this game, but if by meta... He said, if by meta you mean that, like, there's, like, 5 people that make builds and do builds, And so it's not like there's, you know, thousands of people working on, like, figuring out what's the best build. There's, like, 5 people. You know, so it's not like 1,000 people agree that this is the best. Or, you know, thousands and they've all thought on it their own. It's more just, yeah, maybe like 5 people agree that this is the best build. That doesn't necessarily mean it is because it's such a small sample size. A lot of interesting things about this game having like a small community in that sense. There's nothing I really care about in this direction. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the game's been out a while, but I mean, the fact that they've added uniques as early as, I think, last patch. I mean, or maybe even this patch. Not sure. Says that there could be a lot that's... Yeah. But it says that there could be a lot. I think they need to go a bit harder on what makes a unique a unique. Yeah. I've heard people doing well with that build, but Cold DOT, from what I've heard, just lacks damage compared to other dots like the Damned and, well, Void, Necrotic, Poison, Bleed. You know, every elemental type has a dot, I believe. Don't know if Lightning has DOT at all, actually. Come to think about it. But all the other ones do. But I think they could go way harder on what makes a unique, unique. Welcome, Taylor. By the way, first time in chat. Just cause I expect like kind of Diablo level uniques. I kind of do want a lot more uniques that completely define a build, not just kind of make what's already there stronger. Like, I want something that if you're using this unique, you can't even tell it's the same. Oh my gosh, that thing just beamed me so hard. Yeah. I think, I do think, and this is as someone playing PoE, or who played, whatever you want to say, PoE. I think the community did and is overreacting a bit too much. I mean, I think they're, just in the sense that they're acting like it's a completely different game and the game is impossible to play in any capacity. I mean, I know like one thing that people are complaining about, for example, is having to stack multiplayer for loot and things like that. Well, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? That like they're coming over here for multiplayer, but then they don't want to do multiplayer on PoE. I'm not saying that like they're the same or anything like that, but I just think that it's an overreaction to have like these large streamers just leaving the game because, oh, it's unplayable. And I don't really think it's that, yeah. I don't really think it's that drastic of a thing where the community needed to start going on to Steam and writing negative reviews about this game that they have 5,000 hours on and saying, I wouldn't recommend this game, when, like, dude, what do you mean you wouldn't recommend the game? You have like 10,000 hours on the game, and like, you clearly got your time's worth of it, even if it is going downhill now. You know, those people are coming around and saying it's a bad game, well, because like, I was reading through the reviews the other day, And I see people with like 6,000 hours in PoE, which I did the math. That's an average of 200 hours a season.
Too easy.
Saying that they don't like that you have to know life the game anymore, and I'm like, or that you have to know life the game, and I'm like, that's what you've been doing. You have 6,000 hours in it. Like on average, you spend 200 hours playing this in a season. Why is it any different for you? It's just kind of funny, is all. Yeah. I think, like, I think the main point of it is the changes affect overall a minority of the players. That minority might be 10%, but they affect like a minority of like the top absolute peak of players. And then those players are unhappy, and so their communities just are basically parroting what that streamer or whatever said, right? They aren't really impacted by it or anything like that because they're not a peak player, but they're just repeating what that streamer said and backing, that streamer's individual opinion or whatever. Because I feel like a majority of players in PoE aren't actually really affected super significantly by these changes. Oh my! Just evaporated. Because I can't block his hits when he's dead. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. I think one of the most ridiculous things about it, and this doesn't even really come down to PoE itself in any capacity. You have these big streamers talking tons of crap about this game. Where like, for example, Empyrean's over here on LE streaming. And that's fine. But like, I decided, I was like, isn't he a PoE streamer? And I decided to look back at his last time he streamed PoE. And basically, somebody had donated. I didn't hear any of it, but someone donated and told him, yeah, keep talking crap about GGG and maybe they'll fix stuff. Thing is, that guy's made a living on PoE. And sitting there and bashing the game might irrefutably damage the reputation of the game. And subsequently, his livelihood. Is it really that bad to where you want to, like, stop playing PoE, the thing that makes you a significant amount of money, and go play something else? That doesn't make sense to me. It's one thing to say, hey, I want to explore other avenues, but it's another thing to, like, bash the thing that gave you your entire streaming career. And that really goes, like, that was just an example, but a lot of PoE streamers are doing that. Yeah, this game's a perfect middle ground between, like, Diablo and PoE. I love it. I'm a Diablo player. I like Diablo. Diablo does some things that PoE doesn't exactly. Which is fine. They're two very different games on very different ends of the spectrum. As far as this genre goes. And I just personally like Diablo better. It's a bit less of a headache if I want to do anything, to be honest. If I want to do something in PoE, I have to sit on the wiki for a long time. Watch a bunch of guides, etc. And so it's just a little bit less mentally taxing. Wow, look at this exalted belt. It's worth 21. Mine is worth 26. I wish it wasn't based off the base item. Yeah, I've heard multiple people say that. Like, once... I think one thing to keep in mind about Diablo, right, is you don't need to necessarily grind Paragon in order to do all the content, right? Which is something that feels good. I mean, yeah, the Paragon grind kind of sucks, and whatever. But you can at least experience everything the game has to offer. It's just really... grinding Paragon becomes... do you want to push leaderboard? Or do you not? Like, that's kind of what it becomes for me. But yeah, I get what you're saying in the sense that, like, if you want to push leaderboard, once you fall behind in Paragon, you kind of can't catch up as if the other person's consistently grinding. You know, like, if you take a day off and they don't, then you're just behind, and you might never actually get up there. Because there's such unrealistic and minimal improvements that you can make to your gear that that's not really what matters at that point. I hope this game, ironically, gets a little bit more impact from its gear. Not saying I don't notice and when I get a new piece of or new thing that's an upgrade or something like that. But it definitely, you know, like, this to me is a unique. I get 100% block chance to nearby enemies. This is just kinda... it's just, it really all it does is extra damage. Right? It converts my crit molt into bleed effectiveness or poison effectiveness. And it's not special. This is one of the rarest items in the game. And it's just not really that special. It's just a stat stick item, right? That doesn't really... like, that's one thing I love about Diablo legendaries, is they can completely change how your entire ability works. In every capacity. And I think that's what I want to come to expect from, like, future uniques. I want a unique where if I put this unique in this build, it's completely different and doesn't function the same as this one at all. You won't even tell the difference. Like, that's the kind of uniques I like. But that's my personal opinion. Some people don't like that. But, it's a very easy way to add to the diversity without adding, like, tons of different skills. Yeah, it's just a matter of... because it's so rare and I don't really want to farm another one, let alone the fact that it has 2 LP. I really just want to wait until I have a pair of gloves that has exactly what I want on it. Like 4 modifiers that I wouldn't mind having 2 of on this pair of gloves. So just kind of waiting. Because let's see what I have right now. Like, I don't really need crit chance on this. I don't need cast speed. So the only thing I'd get is dodge rating and frailty, so that one's out. This one, I could craft something else on here. I don't need the resistance, don't need any of the other stats. That one's out. Throwing attack damage, although I do use throwing attack, all my damage is in bleed. Don't need attunement, don't need poison resist, don't need endurance. Don't need crit chance, don't need mana. Armor shred's good, don't need fire resist. So that's 1 out of 3. I mean, I could craft all up on this, but also if I remove the exalted modifier, then it becomes non-exalted. So this I could get critical strike avoidance, and I think I have like 100% anyways. 91% between that and where else am I getting it? No, I have 51% there. I might naturally have some through my stats or something. But I don't need the crit chance, the damage over time. Like, this is my closest one. But this is also just a really good baseline that I want to be able to use on other characters, right? So. I wouldn't necessarily say that at all. I mean, like, for example, this is just a tier 6 exalted plus physical damage, right? That's not even a tier 7. Also, what is that percentage on that melee damage leached his health? Do you see that? It can be 9.5999999%. What is that? I think someone needs to fix a number somewhere. But anyways, if this was a tier 7 mod, like any kind of roll on a tier 7, it'd be pretty hard to find a unique to outclass just that damage percentage alone, right? The only time uniques would start to become mandatory is like... Now, of course, I could slap that on to something else. I don't really have, like, a good example. But, you know, like, I could slap that onto this, theoretically. But it just starts to become, this is going to be better than a unique until I can combine it with a unique, right? And I think that's one thing that's great about this game, is the ability to combine uniques with exalteds. Makes it so you're not actually losing stats by equipping a unique. This is a good example. I needed Void Resist. I had 4 modifiers on an item that I wanted. But ideally I wanted Void Resist, and I got really lucky. But otherwise, I mean, you don't want Void Resist that low. And there's no way to get that otherwise. So I don't have to give up anything, which feels really nice. A lot of crit multiplier and crit chance. Pretty nice. But so, it's more... Uniques are almost never going to be your BIS unless they're, like, ridiculously good. Like, this is just such a good defensive piece, but you can live without it. Like, you can definitely do this build without it. You can function. You'll be a little squishier, but you'll do a lot more damage by just dual wielding or something. Like, it's completely doable. I could change the build if I wanted to do endurance rating, not do block at all, and it would be completely doable. So even that, as impactful as it is, isn't required. I don't think it'd ever get to that point because of the sheer power level that Exalteds can actually get to. I think it'd be really hard to make a unique that would actually just outclass anything, because it can just be combined, right? But that's okay because... Oh my... Where did I go? I thought I dodged that. So you will... I mean, ideally you run full legendary. Ideally, if I could just slap these boots with one of these... Hold up, where's my boots tab? Like, look at the stats on these. I don't really care about the mana gained as ward, but just, I could nearly, like, cap myself out on, you know, physical poison and necrotic just by having, like, poison and necrotic on this, or whatever the case is. Right? So it's kind of just inevitable anyways that that happens. Well, I lost that as a modifier because that sucks. I don't think it's necessarily unhealthy to be in full uniques. I mean, that's going to be the peak of any build. Ideally, I get all exalteds and combine these with random uniques that are likely going to be better. The only time you don't want a unique is like, this gives 5% increased throwing attack speed. Maybe I really want that, but it's pretty unlikely that that's going to outpace a unique. And that's just the base implicit that this item has. You know, maybe I really want the crit multiplier, but there's probably a unique that gives me a better crit mult. I don't think it's bad necessarily, though, that uniques will end up being best in slot. I think it's somewhat inevitable. The only reason that's not the case in PoE is because uniques don't scale. Right, like, a good example of that is, Quill Rain. You know, for, Explosive Arrow. Really good for Explosive Arrow, but really only for leveling. And then it starts to fall off because of... It just can't drop at a higher level. But when you have uniques that can drop at higher levels and stuff like that, or just generally give, like... I don't know, I feel like uniques are slightly different, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it now that I'm trying to. Another thing is, this game makes it very easy to farm for uniques with the different ways that you can target farm. Like, not only is the unique crafting cool, but the fact that I can farm this monolith, I mean, once I get to empowered, it becomes a lot easier. And I can get unique helmets. And I can get unique shields, too. There's a unique shield node that can spawn. You know, and that'll give me a specific unique. Or at least help me to get specific uniques. By the way, 99 out of 100. Really nice. And so, unlike PoE, where it's just kind of like, you hope to God that you just happen to get one off something you're doing. It's almost like Diablo, where you can get stuff from specific places, but it's not like you're doing the same thing all the time, which is nice. Like, I can do anything in this monolith. I mean, yeah, it's running monolith, but it's not like killing the same boss over and over again, which is a little bit of a pain. Alright, chestplate. Yep. Somehow I misclick, like, on the ground over here or something. Walks me away from what I'm trying to do. This rolled better. Not really. Onto the ground you go. Let's start going up in a different direction. Oh yeah, last couple points go here. I was expecting to see a mage skill tree there, to be honest. And that is definitely not a mage skill tree. I'm doing a lightning surge build on my spellblade. Pretty much the same as the flame reave one, but it just uses lightning surge instead and is quite a bit tankier. Following Epic Tools' build guide on it. I'll probably make some changes to it. It seems like it has a lot more room for stuff than what he used. So I'll probably end up changing it and it'll be my own build, but for now I'm following his build guide. Here, I'll post it in that here. There you go. That's the build. I would post just the Epic Tools link for it, but I don't mind supporting him. He's a really good content creator. Puts a lot of work into what he does. That reveals 3 nodes, nothing 3 nodes. I'd always keep pushing down here too. I'll do that. I'd actually watch like pretty much any of his videos. That's the first one of his videos I've ever clicked on. He is on his way to being a really good content creator. There's some stuff I don't like about his content that I can't necessarily place, but there's just something about it that I'm not quite a fan of. That being said though, again, he's starting out just as I am. I'm not the best streamer you've ever seen. You know. So, no harm on him in that sense. Whenever anything's outside the block range on this build, like this build originally used the Corsairs set. Where's this set here? But it became very buff dependent on having 100% block chance. So I swapped over to using this shield instead, and then it frees up my helmet slot for better gear. Well, I mean, I know this. I made YouTube videos for a while before I did this. That and so like I'm not completely ignorant to it. Actually has very little to do with him and his talking in his videos. But yeah, talking to yourself is really hard. Like, cause you get stuck, like, if you've ever, tried to get a job, when you first start trying to get a job, people want experience, and it's like, how do I get experience to get a job if you won't give me a job to get experience? And it's much the same way with streaming. If I sat here and didn't talk at all, had no mic, no anything, unless I'm like a completely godly player on like some sort of competitive game where you can appreciate the actual gameplay a lot more, than an ARPG, you're not gonna watch. So when nobody's in here, I have to try to still be entertaining for when somebody finally joins. I have to try to like, look good in a sense. So I, narrate what I do and I talk to myself, and not easy. Oh my gosh, did I actually... One of the hardest rings to get in the game. Hold up. Let me clear out this stuff a little bit. Let me see what the drop rate is on this real quick. A lot of people have this misconception about YouTube that, oh, I'll just work for like 2-3 hours a day, rack in, a huge paycheck, and then call it a day. But like, and it might be like that way later down the line. But early on, it's like, I'm streaming for 8 hours a day. I take a 4-hour break in between my 2 4-hour streams, and I work on content in between that 4 hours. I work 12-hour days because I want this to work. That's what YouTubers do, is like, you gotta treat it pretty much like a real job. Let me bring... What is the drop rate? So yeah, this ring I just got is the 8th most rare unique in the game. This is the 6th. So this is 8th, 6th, and then I think, yeah, and then this is 9th. And this actually is supposed... So you target farm this from the Age of Winter. So this isn't even supposed to drop in this timeline for target farming. I mean, it can, but you want the ring things. Anyways, yeah, so just really lucky, I guess. Why does this have to dead end? At least there is a movement speed sign. I think I need to go up and around. Map is one of the longest maps. Mostly because there's no shortcuts for it. You just literally have to go from one of these islands to another island, to another island, to another island, until you come all the way to the end where usually the objective is.
Easy. Too easy.
So what are you trying to farm for anyways? Earlier you asked about farming for new builds. What are you... The bow mage, right? Actually, now I remember. Can go in my build. I needed that ring, so that's really helpful. Isn't this supposed to have unique... Did I read wrong? Says this is supposed to have unique set or shield echoes. For the Black Sun timeline. But all I'm getting are the helmet ones. I know I found shield ones here. Does this also drop unique helmets? Because I swear they only had one specific, not multiple. Yeah. I have a really unique heavy build that I am wanting to work on, but it's just slow going. And leveling it's kind of a pain. Like, and that was actually one of the uniques I wanted for the build, so that's helpful. Not one of the necessary uniques, but it is one of the uniques I wanted to run. I wonder if there's gonna be increased drop rate and stuff like that for playing with other people. I mean, I think even just with the recent drama from PoE, it's enough to make them not want to do that. But I don't necessarily see it as unhealthy as long as, I don't know, maybe they should find a way to separate leaderboards in that sense. And it would be healthier. This is almost what I want, except it's not. I'd love to pick this up, but it's gonna take way too much to make work. Because I don't want any of those modifiers. My brain just like freaked out for a second. So I have Twitch chat on my phone and I went to go text my girlfriend and I thought I had texted my girlfriend through that's a okay then. That is a BIS exalted a fix I got there, actually, even. Where did that go? Oh. Let's put some of these away. That's actually BIS for this build, exactly. That I was saying is pretty much going to be incredibly hard to get a modifier like this, and then I get an exalted. On the correct base, mind you. I'll throw that in there. Careful not to shatter the... You can go over there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like, I think that's the way to go about it, right? Is not make the increased drop rate for an individual higher, but just like... I mean, you already have 4 times the drop rate because... Yeah, let me craft on this. Because look at that. It even like tier 5 tier and has no suffixes. So I can just craft what I need on it. Which is actually just incredible. Let me check what... I don't even know what I'm gonna want here. What? I mean, I know one thing I do want. Flat dodge rating. And I could even try to seal something on this. And I don't think it has enough foraging potential to justify that, though. Maybe just percent dodge rating? I could do flat health. I don't think that really gives me a ton, though, to be honest. I don't want to go percent dodge. Kinda. Oh yeah, this is percent health. Yeah, I thought it was flat HP off the top of my head. Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah, that's why I didn't try to seal anything. I mean, I could have, but I wouldn't have gotten the 5s. And it rolled pretty high. Unfortunately, a minimal rolled on this, but that's already higher. So that's a huge up and... Holy crap, how much HP did that give me? Give me like 250 HP. Yeah. Like, that's really what matters. This gives me increased damage while wielding a sword, but bleed chance is perfectly fine when I do all my damage from bleed. Pretty much the same in that capacity. I have like a ton of crap in here I probably don't even... Or like, you know, like this has foraging potential on it still, and it's just way too scary to like craft on. There's like a couple things in my gear that are like so good that I don't want to craft on them. I think it's just that helmet, yeah. There was something else at one point. I think like the only thing that's gonna be better than... This ring could get a slight upgrade pretty easily, I think. Yeah, wait, why am I... Hold up. They need necrotic and cold resist from that? What can we look at for... If I... I guess this means nothing if we... I'll get something out of it. Health regen, not really. Back to void resist again, don't really care. Gonna eat my potential, but we'll... And now we got necrotic resist. Of course. Now we have what we want. Barely under cap. But that's not maxed out either. There's this. What is that? Oh, hello there, Larry. Thanks for joining the chat. Just kind of trying to figure out what to do with some of my new gear and stuff. Yeah, hold up. I have a ring that I got a while ago. I had one. Ah, here it is. Yep. You can get 2 exalted mods on it. I imagine it's about as rare as a tier 7, if not more. But yep, you can get 2 exalted mods on the same item. I imagine you can get even more than that. But obviously it just starts to become more and more ridiculous. I don't mind having the healing effectiveness on this, so maybe I will just try to upgrade this, but I doubt I'm gonna RNG well enough. I think that is... Oh wait, these both have healing effectiveness. Just gives dodge rating. %, glancing blow, compared to resist capped. I think I'd rather take the glancing. I think this is easily more damage than this, because we don't really care about the throwing physical damage much. We care about the mana cost. Why is that what is ran on this? I don't know why that's what's ran on this. You could get way more efficiency out of just not running throwing attack physical. I might need to change that. We don't care about how much damage this does, we just care about what our bleed damage is here. Anyways, that's a slight upgrade. That's nice. Oh yeah, this is, by the way, if I found 4 LP for this relic, this is exactly what I would run for it, or use on it. Why I'm keeping it. It's just a very, very good exalted. Mind you, this is a bleed build, but... And obviously you'd almost never get a tier 4. Let's try to get our blessing. I got quite a big damage up with this. That'll be nice.
Behold, the dawn of the black sun. My shadow will cover this world once more.
That means he's doing the circle attack. Nope. So, pull it off to the side, that way he covers as little of the area as possible. Should be a pretty easy fight here. Stab him in the back, get some mana back. Rather than stacking damage on him. I don't know how many times you can do that in a row, but... Now he should be doing the AoE. No, is not again. Then blood to death. That's surprising. I don't think I've ever had him not do the AoE cone attack thing. Not once. A lot of void resist. Did that max? No, I didn't even max roll. And we just want to keep the dodge rating. In case you guys are ever wondering, because I just got one, I got a key off the boss. At least what I've been hearing is that bosses are the best way to farm keys for your lightless arbors and all the dungeons and stuff like that. So if you guys need dungeon keys, it's a good thing to look at. And I've noticed that in my own play as well. I'm almost certain it's completely correct. But yeah, see, Raijas, you kept some of your luck. You were able to get that double tier 6 modifier. You didn't give me all of it. Just, you know, a staggering majority. I love maps that have these beetles, the large beetles. They spawn in really high, like, really high frequency. So, like, I'll probably run into a few of them here or there. Again, please prove my point. There we go. And what makes them great is they're rare enemies, and rare enemies have a guaranteed chance to drop a rare item. A rare item can turn into a unique item. So they're very good for farming uniques, exalted, stuff like that when you get them as one of your RNG'd enemy types. Whenever you start a monolith, that is. Just a ice beetle-y boy. I think we take him with us. He come with us? Yeah, that's what sucks about that. That a lot of exalteds you get are trash. That is pretty good, actually. It has high rolls. Enough to replace one of these other ones. That one. I'm running out of space in my stash constantly. Luckily, I don't have to pay real money for stash tabs. Because boy, would that suck. We'll see what else to play, maybe. No, why not? Hopefully I can get up to 200 corruption soon. Once you get 200 corruption, whenever you do a boss, that's how you get the 5th option for a blessing. So your first one is at, so you get the 3 baseline, then you get the first one at 100 corruption, and the second one at 200 corruption. Yeah, me having the increased damage over time from my chest piece that I just got, although it's not too different from my other one, I don't think I'll ever find a replacement for it. And the 30% increased, or 40% increased damage over time on that is very helpful because of our Baldur's Chalice that we have down here. That makes it so that we leech, I think it's 2% of our damage over time from enemies. So obviously the more damage over time we do, the more we're going to heal, and the harder we're going to be to kill. Yeah, so 2% of our physical damage over time. This would be amazing for my other build if it had any roles that I genuinely cared about. Oh, yeah, I get you on that. Gonna go. One's 3 away, this one's 2 away. I probably won't go for this one unless I get desperate. Yeah, I was gonna say, I actually haven't gotten a mono to 200 corruption yet. This build can definitely do it at this point, but I just haven't gotten that high yet. I'll probably end up getting it to 200 corruption by the end of the stream. These could be really good. I like how I can craft anyway. But I kind of have to get a little lucky. If I remove this, it's okay. I'll just find a new one, but... Of course. Yep, see those later. Okay. It happens. You're the best of us. One thing I can really praise about this game is if you RNG on your crafting, unlike Path of Exile, which is the only game with the RNG crafting system, that's why I mention it, you don't feel horrible for rolling, like for bricking your piece of gear or something like that. You don't feel horrible for it. You're just like, ah, well that kind of sucks, and that's about the most you get out of it. Game feels really forgiving in that sense. Because you don't really actually spend a ton in order to start crafting on a piece of gear. Whereas I know in Path of Exile you can just spend tons and tons of money and then end up having your gear brick. Yeah, I mean, I had the other day where I don't know what it was. I still have to go and I'm gonna put a YouTube short up on my YouTube channel for it. Actually, I have to find it in the VOD. Well, I had it where I had something like 20 forging potential on an item, and I crafted on from nothing, starting from nothing, 2 different tier 5 mods, and it still left me with, so I went from 0 to tier 5 on 2 different things with like 20 forging potential, and then I was still left with 5 forging potential at the end to re-roll the affixes, to get better numbers on them. Like, so sometimes, like, it feels just super good to, like, hit that RNG stride in crafting in this game. I mean, PoE it feels good, but not like that kind of good, if that makes sense. Like in PoE it's just like, oh, thank God, because that could have been horrible if that didn't work. Instead, in this game, it's just like an even better outcome because it worked. Yeah, like that's basically what Yeah, that's basically what happened. Oh, you can probably find it. It's well, you can do ! socials, and that'll actually give you the link to my Discord. It'll give you the link to my YouTube. I have a Twitter and stuff that I don't quite use yet, honestly. But yeah, I'm the only exiled to bronze out there that I know of, so I know I'm easy to find. I don't post all the time. I've been really focusing on streaming. Like, I went from 6 followers a week ago to now I'm 29 followers as of now. So so like that only took me a week. So I'm getting a lot of traction on streaming. So I'm really trying to focus on streaming and trying to find a good rhythm for multitasking, you know? Like when I should work on YouTube, when I can work on YouTube, things like that. But it'll definitely come. That is a lot of necroticers, but I'm overcapped. Doesn't matter. Yeah. I want to do build guides and stuff like that. It's just it takes a lot of work to put out a build guide. And honestly, I kind of like being original, and so I don't really want to do build guides on something that somebody else is doing, or something that's not my own creation in a significant way. But, I mean, that's just my personal side of things that I prefer not to do. I think one big thing that I want to do this with my content. I'm not sure how well it'll work out. It might not be like the ending side of things. But so if I do a build that uses endurance or whatever, I'm not gonna make the build guide take a really long time and 10 minutes of the build guide explaining how exactly endurance works and why we use it in the build. I might say why we use it in the build, but if you want to know exactly how to use endurance, I'm gonna have like a completely different video for that. So if you want to just know the basics where you can play the build, then you can just have the basics to where you can play the build. If you actually want to really understand the numbers and why I do what I do, then like I feel like that should be in separate videos. Just to make it more palatable for people. Because I know not everybody wants to watch a 40-minute build guide, and not everybody's going to care about, you know, why exactly I choose to use endurance for a certain part of a build. Yeah. If I wanted to go where the mass was, I wouldn't be playing this game at the moment. I mean, it's kind of true, but, you know, joking. No, I love this game, though. It has a lot of potential. I've played it on and off since release because there was a few points where it really did not feel like it was going to go anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I expect LE to explode. I think it will. It's somewhat surprising that it's doing as poorly as it is, given that it has been in open, you know, or at least purchasable beta for like, you know, almost 4 years, actually. That's just what you could purchase in beta. So, it's really surprising that it hasn't popped off more, so I kind of am holding my breath that multiplayer might fix that, but I can totally see a world where it doesn't necessarily fix it either. I mean, for example, when it comes to multiplayer, is it just going to be play with friends, or is it actually going to be multiplayer where you have a reason to interact with other people, right? Because personally, I don't want just play with friends. I want to be able to actually, like, at least move items between me and my friends, or just some, right? So I don't know where they're going to draw that line. I know that they expect to add trading eventually. I know that they're kind of unsure about it. I know. So it's just, it might not be as big of a push in the right direction and just the game completely pops off as we might think it could be. Good question for you guys. So, oh, here, let me read your message. Yeah, it's great to hear things like that. So, interesting thing for you guys, because again, I want to kind of feel out the community, and I've gotten varying opinions. What do you guys want in a build guide? Maybe you guys are PoE players, maybe you're not, but I know not everyone wants to watch a 40-minute guide. So what to you guys is the bare minimum someone should include? Maybe like you don't want to see like a long build guide would be just a simple thing you could say. Like, what do you guys want? So you want to see what the build looks like before I get into talking about how to do it? Like, that's what you would want to see? Got ya. I can agree with that. I mean, that gives a really good first impression on things too. I mean, I think, for example, if I was gonna do a build guide on this build, like I would, and I was gonna do it in a way that you are talking about, which sounds like a really good idea. That is probably how I will structure it. Is I would show that I'm doing like 200 corruption, and I would, you know, hop into a monolith directly on camera or something like that, and show its ability to do a monolith. And then I'd probably do a boss fight as well, just so you could kind of see both sides of it. And maybe just have some lo-fi music in the background, you know, during the gameplay. And then afterwards get into talking about it. That's probably how I would structure it. Now, so when you look at a build guide, do you want to know why I picked every single skill, or do you just want to know the key like passives? Right? Do you want to know the key passives, or do you want to know every passive? How in depth would you look for? Because again, like I said, I know not every player wants to know every little thing. They just want to play the build. They just want something that's easy to follow. And yeah, of course I'd talk about the gameplay. It wouldn't necessarily just be silence. Got double uniques here, pretty good. I just re-rolled all my uncompleted ones. Just the double uniques. Oh, one more unique over here, but that's a little bit harder to get to. Exalted ones, not really that great. Man, that was not a great re-roll, to be honest. because I'm just, one thing I'm worried about in making build guides, right, is being too detailed and not detailed enough. Yeah, I think where I'd want to go the most in depth, if I'm going to go in depth, is if something interacts in a way where it might not make sense. One thing I don't see any builds listing actually in their build guides currently. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you guys have seen it. But is actually like role priority. I see people put like what you should have, but nobody really puts like what you should prioritize, right? People will just show, oh, you need these 4 things, not that maybe one of these is better than the other at a time or something like that, which is something I really miss from looking at Diablo guides. Gotta get this guy back here, because he is just running from me. He cannot escape me. I am inevitable. And yeah, it's definitely... Did I went back to town too early. Where was I? Fuck some. I just killed him and I thought he was the only one, and then I just immediately went back to town. Oops. I'm happy that doesn't get rid of your... Yeah. I think, part of the reason I don't like looking at build guides on LE is although some are written really well, there's very key components that I feel some are missing that I'm hoping I can fill the gaps in. Because, I mean, at least in my mind, to me, if I show you this sword, and I say get these 4 things, and you find a sword that only has damage over time, and you find another sword that has critical strike multiplier, I think it's very important that you know which one of those is better. Which one you should prioritize. Right? And a lot of builds will just say, get these 4 things. I mean, that to me is like a very key thing that should be included. And I think I'd also go as far in depth as to, on this character, I have this glancing blow chance. With, I don't even know how much dodge rating I have, I can't quite look, I'd have to do the math. But I feel like it'd also be important to include certain breakpoints, and I don't see many build guides include that kind of thing either. Because I kind of want to know what sort of levels of dodge rating I'm talking about. Needing to get for my glancing blow. In case you guys don't know, this build converts dodge rating into glancing blow, if that's not obvious. Through just a passive point. So there's definitely some gaps that I feel. And I mean, those aren't necessarily, I feel, like being over specific either, like I was talking about, I'm afraid of before. Like, as far as talking about what, stat roles to prioritize over others and stuff like that. To me, that's not overly specific. But maybe it is, I don't know. I'm not necessarily an average player. I really like looking at the numbers of things and why things work the way they do and everything like that. Off topic from the YouTube thing. One thing I really hope to do with the Twitch stream here is actually, once I become affiliate and I have channel points, I'm going to have an option where you can redeem channel points and I can like look at your build and recommend like very specific stuff that you need to do with your build and things like that. I really love helping people with their builds. I used to do it all the time in Diablo, where I would tell my, just help people I was playing with, hey, you need to take this and roll this off because this is the least important piece of, least important stat you need in order to put this stat on it and stuff like that. I always loved going through and breaking down that stuff. That's one thing I hope to bring on my channel, is being able to kind of help viewers individually. And I'd only put channel points on it as a thing, as obviously, it would take a good bit of time to do that for people. But I think that would be a very valuable use of channel points. Hey, Distorka. You are the... Wait, is he still here? Is he lurking? Hold up. Nah, Wolf left a while ago, okay. Wolf is the only regular I've seen today, other than you. I don't know if I can call you a regular. You're here regularly. But only for a minute, in between your streams. In a lot of cases. You're well known. I wouldn't call you a regular, I guess. I mean, you're not modded yet. I would consider mods important. Hey, what, Rygas, you wanna be a mod? Kidding, kidding, kidding. Kidding, by the way. Completely kidding. You remember my damage when I did this just a minute ago? Made sure to keep him in my block. Like, this is how much damage just that chest plate gave me. Like, it took me a while to do him last time. Can I tank that? Oh my god, I can tank it, but that was way closer than I wanted it to be. Oh, we got the dodge rating. Nice, and that's almost a max roll. I thought it was percent, but maybe it's not. Anyways, that's what we were looking for. Gives us an extra 3%. I have not gotten one of these yet. What does it do? Spell fire damage, extra fire damage taken, necrotic damage, extra necrotic damage taken, void damage, extra. Okay. Sounds pretty garbage. Oh, I got an exalted on the I'll show you the one I was using before. Hold up. So I went from this yellow chest plate to this one. It has the base that I want. Because it's increased damage over time. Can't. Tools. Yeah, it can roll up to 43% on that. And then it happened to roll with a bleed chance per equipped sword. Yeah, this is my bleed build that I'm doing. I actually, now that I think about it, need to take out poison resist, because this gives me poison resist. I also need to check the vendor before.
Take care.
I love the idle system. I'll say it all the time. How I can compensate for discrepancies in my gear. Do I need void resist? I kind of do. Full damage. Resistance. Gives me a little bit low. That cap me on fizz? Yeah. I technically don't need necrotic, but I just love being able to compensate for discrepancies. Oh, well, I don't necessarily need the dot. I mean, the other one was just a global damage modifier, so it was still okay. Give me any more. Here we go. We are capped on everything but cold. So I will have to... Actually, hold up. Oh, well, that's gonna be hard to... Oh. Do I need the lightning resist? Absolutely not. I think it's just because it was my highest health modifier, but I would much rather have slightly less health. That's interesting. If I type in cold resist, it actually shows me the ones that also just give regular elemental resist. Almost fully resist capped. I'll consider that a win. I forgot I could change out my idols to give me more resist. Well, yeah, it's just really nice that it does that. I don't think I can find what I'm looking for here, but I actually should probably check. At least a little bit. Yeah, about at level 40. I think that's when this caps out. Can't gamble and past level 40. No, it's nice that it... Just keep in mind, I didn't type in the word elemental or anything like that, right? The only thing I looked for was cold, and that technically doesn't have the word cold in it at all. Maybe I should try to find more blessing. Where can I get sword drop rate as a blessing? One-handed sword drop rate from Blood, Frost, and Death, which would be this one. So we will go farm here. The last 10 minutes of the stream. The slightly shorter stream today, but that's just because I was late and I was off doing some things. I got home a little later than expected. Oh. I mean, in some sense, you know, you kind of want that, but I also get that you don't. Completely understandable. If we're just gonna farm for blessings, then we should keep pushing out this way and look for more stability. So this node only reveals 2 different ones, because it reveals whatever this is connected to and whatever this is connected to, but if I go to this one, it reveals 3 different nodes, whatever all 3 of these are connected to, so if you're wanting to not run into a dead end, it is a lot more efficient to pick nodes like this over nodes like this. If you're only looking for stability, that is. Oh, just something to keep in mind. Oh, and thanks for the sub on YouTube, Rajas. I just saw the notification on my phone for that. Hey, listen, if you saw me on Pornhub, no you didn't. I know this map, and I know that I actually need to go the other way. Hey man, I mean, if you saw me on there, it definitely wasn't in the, you know, BBW category or whatever that is. It was definitely in some good stuff. You might have seen me, but you wouldn't know it. You know, gotta make sure I'm getting into that variety content. Trying to be the next Ron Jeremy out here, you know? Ooh, another sun wreath. I feel like that ring drops all too often for me. I don't know why I'd be... I'm definitely not in that category. I don't meet the qualifications. I don't want to go get these chest plates. Kinda don't care though. I don't even know what corruption this is at.
Easy. Too easy.
The Storka, are you gonna stream tonight? If he heard me. Oh, yeah. Are you gonna stream tonight or no? This would be a good sword if most of the modifiers except for the lightning damage weren't good. I'll put it in my chest, but I think that katana is strictly better. Oh, for the crit chance? Yeah. Thing is, it's multiplicative crit chance still, so it kind of sucks in that way. Like, I don't really know how worth it is because, yeah, I guess katanas are good for the crit multi in that way. So it kind of helps compensate. Crit multi only starts being beneficial once you hit roughly like 60 or 70% crit chance. Other than that, you can pretty much ignore it. And I bring that up in the sense that a lot of times, like, you can get a lot more crit off of having like 2 daggers. Daggers have better implicits for it. So if you wanted to, like, let's say try to cap yourself on crit chance, that would be the better way to go about it. It still could be better though, because you can get melee critical chance modifiers on implicits for your daggers that that add to your base and not your multiplicative stat. So overall, that could end up giving you a lot more, even more than a tier 6 crit chance modifier, when you could just have a tier 5 and then have the base crit percentage increased. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, because you were gonna do a shuriken thing. That's right. Yeah, I guess overall that's just gonna... I mean, even then, just using throwing damage overall is going to make it harder for you to cap on crit. I mean, The thing about throwing damage is it's really good for high hit rate stuff, like things where you want to apply ailments and whatever, but it's not really that great for crit. Melee is just generally better for crit. I keep building my little boxes of keys. Oh, we are 3/10 of the way to 100. So we'll probably end up getting that next stream. But yeah, it is the end of the stream, guys. So I'm gonna end up calling the stream here. I'll look for someone to host you guys, another victim. I know Twitch chat always needs new victims. So let me find someone to give you guys over to. It'll only be a couple of you guys, but it'll be worth it. Where is the host button? There it is. Yeah, raid, host, same idea. I know they're not the same, but close enough. Yeah. So, anyways, guys, thank you for hanging out. Don't forget to follow. I stream every single day. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. EST, and then 6 to 10 p.m. EST are my 2 streams every day. So, I will see you guys next time. Only every single day. Yeah. Nope. Every single day. Listen. Anyways, yeah. Have a good night, you guys.